The timeless beauty of the Suffolk coastline, its broad horizons, skies and landscapes, was a major inspiration for the music of Benjamin Britten. And it was here, in this picturesque little fishing village in the years after World War II, that he, together with his friends Peter Pears and Eric Crozier, created the first Aldeburgh Festival. That was in 1948. It was an instant success and grew into an annual meeting place for musicians from around the world. It created what Britten called the Holy Triangle of music: the composer, performers and audience, the three elements inspiring each other to ever greater achievements. Since its acclaimed early years, the project has flourished. Today, its legacy, called Aldeburgh Music, keeps that holy triangle vigorously alive. Its reputation is now threefold: as an outstanding performance centre, a place where top musicians and emerging musical talent come together to be inspired, and also as a focus for wide-ranging education and community work. It just goes from strength to strength. Back in the 1960s, the festival quickly outgrew the various halls and handsome churches where concerts are still given. It needed more space, and in 1967 a new concert hall was opened at nearby Snape. Disused industrial buildings of the former maltings were transformed, and the special characteristics of the maltings' red brick helped give Snape Concert Hall one of the best acoustics in Europe. Word soon got round. In the 1970s, Aldeburgh took another momentous step. It created, also at Snape, the first residential training centre for top young musicians. Its example has since been taken up by others, but the Britten Pears Young Artist Programme is still acknowledged as offering the UK's leading centre for emerging professional musicians.
Coming to the Britten Pears School for a course in 1992 was very valuable for me as a young composer, because you could hear pieces played and have feedback from luminaries, and I learned a huge amount, more in that week than I learned in 3 years of university, probably.
After 30 years supporting the best young professionals, we identified a further hidden gap in the sport for our musical talent. Even the best established musicians need time to escape the pressures of being performers, to recharge, to make new collaborations and experiment. They need an environment that fires the imagination and facilities that help them realise their potential. This is as true for groups and ensembles as it is for soloists. The UK produces some of the finest musicians in the world, yet we do almost nothing to nurture the talent we have. To fill this gap, we launched Aldeburgh Residencies, offering the rare chance for top international artists to reach their full potential. The residencies typically last from a few days to a few weeks of concentrated work, culminating in public open sessions and performances. There are no other places in Europe that offer such opportunities year-round.
We came up to Aldeburgh to do a residency here for the first time in 2006. We've now done 3 residencies, and they've been amazingly important to the development of the orchestra, in giving us time to come here, time out of London, time where we can rehearse and really work on fundamental skills of building up an orchestra.
Back in 2005, Exaudi was a struggling ensemble. We've been going for about 3 years, and we've done 3 residencies at Aldeburgh, coming and spending a week learning very difficult and challenging repertoire which we couldn't otherwise learn. And we've also done many concerts in their festivals and year-round programme of events. So they really have nurtured Ex-Audi, and I think really made the difference between us being a national ensemble and an ensemble of international calibre.
It's very inspiring to just get away from busy, noisy, polluted city life and have absolutely no distractions.
The way that Aldeburgh brings together musicians with artists of all kinds, not just writers but visual artists and dancers, is far more than collaboration. It's a kind of conversation, and I've found my encounters here to be utterly illuminating.
The residencies contribute to creating an environment unlike any other in Europe, where the most talented emerging and established artists can meet, be inspired, and connect to the wider public. Recognising that modern musicians are increasingly mobile and may well want to experiment across different kinds of music with a wide variety of musicians, we're open to artists from all musical types, including composers and opera writers. This includes Faster Than Sound, which is the first programme in the UK for classical and electronic musicians to work together.
I'm not classically trained, I'm an electronic musician. I come from a background of DJing, that's how I got into music. And Aldeburgh's been an amazing space for me because I've been able to incorporate and develop working with classical instruments in a way that I probably wouldn't have been able to do anywhere else. And it's been a really good opportunity and a very inspiring space.
I'm a jazz and Latin pianist. Thanks to Aldeburgh Music, I've got to collaborate with some exciting Malian musicians and create some new music with them. We also felt it was important to collaborate with young musicians, and it was fantastic. We got to share our music with them, and they gave us a lot back.
All of our work nurturing musical talent is a catalyst for more performances, more touring, and an expansion of our much-admired education programme working with schools and the wider community. To make all of this possible, in 2009, after a major capital project, Aldeburgh Music opened more new rehearsal and performance spaces, which allow further artistic expansion and bring more of these wonderful historic buildings back into life. Right from the first festival in 1948, we have worked with local people and with the young. This activity has now expanded to include our much-admired schools work, which culminates in a celebration of schools music each March, involving over 1,500 Suffolk school children from over 40 schools. We work with juvenile offenders and the disadvantaged, helping them to play a more positive role in society. We've also set up Aldeburgh Young Musicians for 8 to 18-year-olds of exceptional potential, giving them a launching pad for a career in music. All of this activity with the young people fosters more talent, and some of them have been known to move up the musical ladder, eventually performing at the Aldeburgh Festival, and then even coming back to coach the next generation.
This is my first year with Aldeburgh Young Musicians, and it's been a fantastic opportunity, and I've been able to progress so much in terms of my own musicianship and also my confidence. So I was really scared when I joined here, but I've had such a supportive environment to tackle some of my fears of things such as improvisation.
They're really, really talented musicians, and they've helped me look at music in a different way to how I would usually look at it. Also, I'm teaching them like how to improvise more freely and stuff like that, instead of keeping to the strict sort of classical way of playing.
You've heard how we've shaped a new future for Aldeburgh Music, a vision that draws on the extraordinary Britton Peers legacy, our track record for nurturing talent, and this inspiring landscape. We've created a centre of excellence, a musical campus if you like, where the world's best musicians and artists can thrive and stretch themselves and reach their full potential. This campus at Snape Maltings includes 4 performance spaces: the concert hall with 830 seats, the Britten Studio with 340, and the smaller Peter Pears recital room and Jerwood Kiln studio. And there's our intimate venue in Aldeburgh, the Pump House. And then there are over 15 rehearsal studios. These spaces are filled year-round, with school-age musicians rubbing shoulders with emerging professionals, with the stars of tomorrow soaking up the experience of the stars of today. Some are here because they're at the beginning of their musical lives and have lots to learn. Others are here to refresh themselves or to perform. Together they make Aldeburgh a unique international performance centre with education and artist development at its heart.
Aldeburgh's musical achievements keep on growing, with nearly 600 concerts, masterclasses and workshops around the year, reaching an audience of 100,000 and many more through radio, television and the internet. And the June Aldeburgh Festival, which started it all, remains at the pinnacle of the international musical scene, with the great French pianist Pierre-Laurent Aimard, the latest musical figure to become artistic director in 2009. Although most of the musical activity today takes place in Snape, Britten and Peer's legacy is still strongly felt in Aldeburgh itself. Many concerts are still given in Aldeburgh, in the Jubilee Hall, in the church, and in our venue, the Pump House. Artists stay in our artists' accommodation in the High Street and with local people. On the edge of town is the Red House, which is legendary in the story of Aldeburgh. It was for many years the home of Britten and Peers, and today houses Britain's fine musical archive and is home to our sister organisation, the Britten Peers Foundation. Now a newly acquired adjacent property is to be converted to provide more archive space where musicians and scholars interested in his music can come to study.
So let's go right back to the beginning. Wouldn't Benjamin Britten and Peter Peers be astonished to hear me say that they set up the first centre in the world for the professional development of top-class musicians? But they did, and I'm really proud of the fact that we're continuing it. They did it because they invited their mates here, their friends. They were called things like Rostropovich, Bream, Perra, Söderström. And of course, they were passionate about the next generation, so enter Ian Bostridge, Tom Addis, and now Pierre-Laurent Aimard. Now, why did all these world-class musicians come, and why did they come back and back? Well, look around you. I don't think it's too much to say that this is the musical equivalent of St Ives. The reed beds, the light, the extraordinary countryside. And it's not just the musicians, it's the public. Of course the public comes to our concerts. So how do we pay for it? We get about a third of it from the box office, about a third of it from the Arts Council of England, and about a third of it, which is a huge amount, well over £1 million, from generous individuals, from trusts, from companies. And it's important to say this money doesn't just create high art, doesn't just create music. It's a huge job creator. So what's the verdict? Well, I'd like to think that if Benjamin Britten and Peter Peers, who after all set up a little festival in a little fishing village about as far to the east of England as you can imagine, if they came back and saw this, I'd like to think they'd be quite pleased with us and that they would be very, very proud of what they started.